All right. Well, good evening to all of you. About 11 o'clock here, Sunday. Owen Fritz with you. Tomorrow will be an active day as far as weather tomorrow, with the potential for some severe storms. The biggest threat's going to be damaging winds, but there is some important details that we really have to go through, as I don't think necessarily it's going to be the biggest threat that we have seen in quite some time. I think tomorrow is going to be kind of one of those really hit or miss. There is a lot of uncertainty right now in the forecast and some of the conditions that we have. So one of the things I have to preface that by saying is, hey, tomorrow, yes, there's going to be storms. Some people can remain dry tomorrow, so it's one of those situations that we may not see hardly anything in certain areas, but more across northern Ohio, kind of moving across that 75 corridor and down. We're going to see a little bit of some storms tomorrow. And I preface this by saying tomorrow's threat continues to be damaging winds as the primary concern. So let's just kind of look through this. Right now, we're kind of looking here at a current radar shot. Nothing going on across the Ohio Valley and across Ohio right now. Some storms starting to fire up across Minnesota and Wisconsin. Those storms will start to drag through overnight tonight. We could see the first round of some showers and some thunderstorms possible in the morning. That's not going to be the main threat that they're mostly concerned with. However, a couple of those storms could get a little bit cranky. We'll show that to you here in just a few minutes. But again, tomorrow, the biggest threat being damaging winds, but important forecast details that we're going to be watching throughout the day. It's going to be very much a nowcast situation in comparison to what we have had across some of these other storms and some of these other setups that we continue to see. All right, so kind of looking here, day one, this is kind of as we get us through the overnight hours. This is right now, so this isn't for Monday. We'll switch over to Monday here in just a moment. Again, I talked about those storms kind of firing up across the northern portions of Minnesota, kind of sagging to the south as the front moves through tomorrow morning, and that's when we could see just a little bit of a chance of severe weather. Not saying we're going to see that at all. Marginal risk pretty much in northwest Ohio, general thunderstorm risk throughout the rest of Ohio. Again, this is overnight tonight. As we get into the new day tomorrow, this is what that severe risk looks like for tomorrow. Pretty easy for us here. It looks like we have a complete area of slight risk for everybody in Ohio tomorrow. And that kind of makes sense with what's going on. Again, kind of pushing that slight risk category. Again, level 2 out of 5. One thing that's interesting is we continue to move forward to tomorrow. The Storm Prediction Center's confidence, I can tell you, is a little bit shaky. And I'll get to some of your questions here in a few minutes, but a little bit shaky tomorrow due to the fact that they haven't even upgraded this outlook at all as far as the severe risk. Usually they move up to the enhanced risk. They haven't done that, so they're not even as confident as one would be. So to be curious here in the next couple of hours when they put out the next day one outlook, if they continue to ride with the slight or they upgrade it to the enhanced, which would be a level 3, which then really starts to perk our ears. So to be curious, kind of looking here for some of those setups, and I'll see what I'm talking about here in just a few minutes on why there is a little bit of some uncertainty being there for tomorrow. So let's kind of look here at the headlines for tomorrow and kind of looking at tomorrow. In the morning, we're going to see a line of broken showers and some storms in the morning. Temperatures in the upper 80s during the day across Ohio. Definitely going to have some instability there. An organized line of thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. We'll show you that here in a minute. But there is the last thing there. Uncertainty certainly remains tomorrow. And we have to preface that. Tomorrow could be basically a hit or a miss. So we kind of have to say it in that fashion. So that's the biggest thing about that for tomorrow. So let's kind of look at it here. Let's look at the radar and look at the models, I should say. Let's go ahead and flip over here to some of the model outlook. This is looking at, and I apologize, you can't see the timestamps on these, but this is looking here. Let me go and flip over to, we're looking at an HRRR model, and I'll just go ahead and put it into motion here, and I'll stop it here. Looking at 1 in the morning. Let me move the map over just slightly. Kind of looking here. This is 4 in the morning. I'm going to stop it first thing right here. This is looking just about 7 o'clock in the morning. So right now, 7 o'clock in the morning, we kind of see this first line. This is not the main line that's coming through. This is that first line. Models are kind of not having a good handle on this. So I'll kind of zoom in here in the northern portion of Ohio. This is kind of that line here that I think is going to be, depending on what happens, what to see. We'll definitely get some rain on this across northern Ohio. The biggest thing is we got a very warm, humid air mass tomorrow that's in place, and obviously this cold front is approaching, and there's a lot of disturbances that's riding on what we call this upper level flow, and we need some of those things like lift to tomorrow to develop the thunderstorms. This first line of showers and storms is not necessarily the main cold front. I'll move this forward here. I'm going to bump this up. This is 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So really, northwest Ohio, you may not get anything depending on where you're at. This is more taking an easterly shift. Now, models have not done very well at handling this. Could very well be a westerly shift, so it could be targeting right over the central Ohio. But the important thing, again, we're stopping here. This is at 10 a.m., so this model is at 10 a.m. This is not the main cold front. This is associated with that upper level disturbance moving along in the edge of this warm, humid air. The actual cold front's coming later in the day, providing another focus for the severe storms in the afternoon. As I zoom out, you can kind of see that it is starting to fire up there across Wisconsin and portions of Michigan. So, looking at this, the first round of showers moves into parts of Ohio. If the morning storms weaken, this is the biggest thing we don't have a good understanding or handle on. If these storms weaken, and I'll go ahead and put the map on, as it gets out of our area here, and this, again, we're looking right now at about 1 o'clock here on this map. You start to see it approaching northwest Ohio. But if this first line weakens and skies clear, the atmosphere could potentially recover. However, if it doesn't, then we have a lower chance for severe weather tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night. So we need sunshine. We definitely have the warmer temperatures, which equals greater instability and more severe weather if the atmosphere can recover. If it becomes cloudy and rains linger into the afternoon, the atmosphere is not going to recover as much. Less heating, less instability, and fewer severe storms. But even in that case, we could see some severe weather if any type of other organized line kind of has recovery, as you can kind of see here on the map right now. So kind of looking at this tomorrow, this is what we're thinking as far as the ingredients of the thunderstorm. And I've struggled with this a little bit. I've kind of bumped up instability and moisture into the medium category. Definitely have lift. We definitely have shear. Instability and moisture seems to be the one things that we have to keep an eye on. Excuse me. So the atmosphere tomorrow, we need that fuel for thunderstorms. We really need that, and I'm not sure about instability. That's the greatest thing. I put it at medium. I almost wanted to put it at low, and even in moisture too, so kind of depending on what happens in the morning. So we definitely have the humidity, and the dew point's going to be near 70 tomorrow, 60s to 70s across Ohio. But so we do have that moisture. Not a lot, but we do have some more moisture than we have today. So kind of putting that here in this medium to high category. And again, it goes back to my headlines that we talked about, is uncertainty remains being the biggest thing. So kind of looking through there as possible weakening. We have to see if the atmosphere tries to recover. Let's go ahead and move it forward now for you. I'll go ahead and put it in the map here. Go ahead and play it, and then you can see that organized line start to fire up. This is at 3 o'clock moving into Ohio. Now, this is as far as this model takes us. We'll have to flip over to another model right now, and give me one quick second here. Put it back on the category outlook, and let's flip over to another model for you to look at. We're kind of looking at what I would call the better model right now. Let's go ahead and flip over to another model for us to look at here. And let's go ahead and look at the reflectivity here. And let's go ahead and put this back into motion here. And let me go ahead and turn off the ingredients so you can see what I'm talking about. That would be good. There we go. Now you can see what we're looking at. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to put this into motion here. This is kind of starting up in the morning. This is another model. We were looking at the HRRR. Now we're looking at the NAM model. Kind of coming through tomorrow morning, kind of sagging to the south. Now you see what happens on the NAM model. As it starts to fire up here throughout the afternoon, you see that front dive south, and it kind of shifts more westerly. So that's what we're looking at there as well. So this is the other thing that we have to keep in mind. Model's not necessarily in agreement. So we have to keep that in mind as well. So definitely need to keep that in mind. Kind of not having the greatest handle on things. So let's continue here. Let's look at, actually I'm going to bring it back to another model here. And let's see here. Cue this up for you here. Yep, all right. Or not. There we go. Let's see if it fires up now. Boy, that's taking it slow as can go. I want to really look in the morning hours. You kind of break it down here a little bit. Kind of see the first wave here. This is coming in right around 8 o'clock. So this is kind of what we're looking at. And continues to fire off. That is not the model I wanted, but getting used to the newer software that we have. And yeah, it's nice, but almost too complicated in some respects. All right, flip out of there, please. Or not. There we go. I'll get used to it at some point. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, I'll look at our RFS. I'm kind of looking here, queuing up another model that we're looking at here. And let me go ahead and see if I can put that down so you can get out of the way. Here we go. In the morning, kind of seeing which way this handles things. Again, this is 9 in the morning. This is yet another model. But this one really starts to fire up that line across and moves that threat more towards the west. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Some of that uncertainty remains. When we have models that are in disagreement, we kind of got to take the average of the two. And you kind of look where this starts to line things up throughout tomorrow and what we could potentially see tomorrow. This is, again, we'll have to wait and see if the entire threat shifts towards the east. But as we move throughout the evening hours tomorrow, I'll back this up. This is kind of looking here in the afternoon. Moving forward, this is at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. You can see that line. And again, this is going to be, we have to wait and see if this fills in, becomes a majority of a line or a broken line. So a lot of uncertainty remains. And I kind of just want to show that to you. And I wish I could give you a better answer tomorrow, but I can't. I don't think any forecaster really can. Let's look at the category outlooks for tomorrow. This is what they're saying as far as a tornado threat. This is where they would think that there would be some tornadoes. We're not really going to see a lot of that tomorrow. And speaking of that, let's look at the threats here. Tomorrow, I put, and sorry, the text is a little weird for you there. Isolated tornadoes possible in northwest Ohio as that front approaches, but not really thinking a tornado threat across the Ohio at all. Again, we can't say that there is no tornadoes, but we have to say a very isolated threat, non-zero. Winds being the primary threat for tomorrow. Kind of a low to more medium risk of hail, depending on how much we can get going, and then flooding, localized flooding being the biggest thing with that as well tomorrow. So as we turn those back off, this is kind of where they're saying, where the Storm Prediction Center is kind of saying for kind of some tornadoes. Let's look at that wind. This is being the wind pinging around here. Yeah, they pretty much got all of Ohio in that greater risk area. So that's something we have to keep in mind here. 30% wind risk, as you can see, from 25 miles at any given point. And the rest of that kind of around Ohio, as those start to fade off, they got to go lower down to a 15% risk. So this is a pretty decent storm risk for tomorrow as far as wind goes. And then if we look at our hail, not really much going on. Kind of have a little bit of hail here in northwest Ohio if it gets going. So kind of low to medium threat with that as well. So kind of looking at this again, this is kind of what the Storm Prediction Center has right now. And I could say they've given a lot of ambiguity for them right now as far as if it shifts towards the west. It looks to me that the latest model runs are starting to shift towards the west, so it doesn't mean we may get in on some of this. So again, there's a lot of uncertainty tomorrow. The morning storms set the stage for what happens later. This is not a forecast. I can tell you that everyone in Ohio is going to be guaranteed severe weather. This is going to be a forecast where everyone should remain weather aware. The atmosphere has that potential tomorrow to produce damaging storms if it recovers from that morning activity. That is going to be the biggest thing tomorrow, but albeit it's going to be a wind threat. So we're going to see straight line damaging winds, not in the terms of tornadoes and what we've seen the other day. That's not the atmosphere. That's not the conditions set up for tomorrow. But we could, again, maybe see a brief isolated spin up, especially across northern Ohio. That's kind of what we're seeing right now. Again, everybody can't let their guard down on that, but the primary threat being that wind for tomorrow. So that's kind of the breakdown of what we're seeing right now. Again, tomorrow morning, that's going to be really what we have to wait and see. If, again, we lose that instability tomorrow, we're not going to see much. And, again, I kind of zoom it all out here, kind of in that regional outlook. You see that first line starting to fire up there across Wisconsin. It's going to drag down towards the south and bring us some of that rain in the morning for portions of Ohio, but not everyone as we move through. So, but bottom line tomorrow, keep your guard up. Have a way to receive warnings, but in some cases, and we cover all 88 counties in Ohio, in some cases tomorrow, we can't say that everybody's going to get severe weather tomorrow. Even though we have a slight risk category for everybody in Ohio tomorrow, we can't say that everyone is going to get severe weather tomorrow. As a matter of fact, I don't think that's going to be plausible or even possible tomorrow. I think Northwest Ohio has the greater chance right now and more of Western Ohio. So, put your mind at ease. We'll continue to update as we need to throughout the day tomorrow. Other forecasters run as well. I come in at some point tomorrow. Not sure exactly. I'm covering the overnight tonight, and then I come in tomorrow. So at some point, but again, not seeing. And I guess I'm kind of starting to be a doubter on this one. My gut is saying that when the models start to disagree like they are, and the lineup of the front. We got to look at the average, but it looks like things are pushing more towards the west. We have to wait and see. Again, tomorrow's that big question mark for what happens tomorrow. Kind of looking, again, line of broken showers and storms possible in the morning, not for everybody. Temperatures will, again, continue to skyrocket in the upper 80s tomorrow. It'll be a warm day for most of Ohio. Dew points also will be up a little bit near 70, so it'll be a little bit sticky. Organized line of thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. We'll have to wait and see where that sets up. And again, uncertainty remains. So as we continue to push through tomorrow, keep it tuned right here to Ohio News and Weather. We'll continue to keep you